Welcome to the Best Business Podcast, the podcast for established marketers, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. The ones who want to join me in my mission to create 200 new multimillionaires who solve world problems with entrepreneurship. If that's you, then this podcast was created to give you access to the tools, training, strategies, and tactics you need to achieve multiple seven-figure profits as soon as possible. This world needs the best business you can build, so please get ready, open your mind, believe you can do this, and let's build a better world together for future generations. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always, and today we are joined by a friend and respected business building coach, AJ Mihrzad. I've known AJ for a while, and I've seen him around at events. I saw his posting in groups I'm a part of, but we never really connected until one day, out of the blue, he contacted my assistant and somehow got an appointment set. So when the appointment came, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but on the call, he gave me a ton of value, shared some resources with me, and even did it all for the sake of just meeting another person, which was a weekly goal he had set. Since then, he's become a great friend and really gets this business. He's the owner of LifeFuel Fitness as well as LifeFuel Supplements. Plus, he has a fitness software program called LeanBuddy. LifeFuel Fitness was voted the number one fitness/weight loss program for Long Island in 2013. AJ's been featured in Men's Fitness magazine, plus bodybuilding.com, and he is also a keynote speaker at a variety of events. He's also the author of the best-selling book, The Mind-Body Solution, Train Your Brain for Permanent Weight Loss, where he proves that the key to a better, more energized, and youthful body is a healthy brain. I asked him to come on today to share some of his insights with us, which to me have already been valuable, as well as talk about what he's learned about building his business. So, AJ, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling awesome, Daryl. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. No, it's an honor and a pleasure. And we were laughing and talking about some fun stuff just before the interview. But I mean, you've definitely come a long way. You've accomplished a lot. You've helped other people grow their businesses and achieve their financial goals. But how did you even get started in that? I mean, it's not necessarily where you began, is it?
No. I, came up as a chubby kid who battled with obesity most of my life. And, I had these big chipmunk cheeks, man boobs, a stomach, and I was always the chubby kid growing up. And then all of a sudden, I hit the age of 20 and I was just miserable. I was depressed, insecure. I was drinking a lot, doing drugs. I was not happy with myself. I had my worst. I was 60 pounds overweight. And that's when I said, I need to make a change. I can't go on living like this. And I knew that I had to lose the weight. That was really my gateway to feeling better about myself. And I'm a very extreme person. So I said, all right, that's it. Whatever it takes, I'm going to get a six-pack by the end of the year. And that's when I just focused everything I could on learning nutrition, exercise. I hired a personal trainer, just got into the world of fitness, and I was able to accomplish a transformation. And when I lost the weight myself, I was like, wow, this is so powerful because now I feel healthier. I feel more confident. I really want to help other people achieve the same transformation. And that's when I started my personal training business. And that's what led me to then grow that and, become a fitness entrepreneur over the years.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of similar to my background where, I did the personal training thing and then I wanted to get into group training and I had a martial arts school and that's where I really had to cut my teeth on this. And at least for me in my situation, because I picked a niche martial art in a small community, I had to really be on top of my marketing skills. And it was a huge wake-up call for me when you just learn how powerful these skills are. Was that kind of what you noticed? Like, you might not have had the same experience, but for you, is it really, I don't know, like when you had to learn to grow your business and be successful at it and you were getting results and you started helping other people, did it ever hit you like, wow, like this can change lives and have a huge impact on a community, on their families, on a person? Would you agree with that? Have you had any experiences like that?
Yeah, absolutely, Daryl. The whole thing is, I guess we always want to heal the pain that we feel ourselves. And for me, it was being overweight, being insecure, lacking confidence. And I said, okay, I need to help people become healthier, become more confident, improve their mindsets. And that's where I got into fitness and transforming. And once I got into a place where, I was able to get out of the pain of being broke and struggling with my business, it's like I want to help other people do the same thing. So it's like the ability to, overcome a challenge or an adversity and then feel compelled to help people get out of that setback themselves.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So then what were some of the greatest challenges that you went through on this journey for yourself and then like personally and then as a business?
Sure. I think one of the biggest challenges was in the beginning, I was just fueled by passion, so I lost all this weight, and at first I wasn't even charging people for, the personal training and nutrition advice. I was helping people in my gym. They're like, oh, you lost 60 pounds, like you got a six-pack, like how the hell did you do that? And I said, I did this, I did that. So I was coaching them. And then at the point, like I was like, wow, I should make a business out of this, So I changed my major to exercise science and nutrition. And I was just so focused on helping people. I started to get them amazing results. And then through the results, they gave me referrals, friends and family, and my business started to grow. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. I'm doing what I love and helping people get results, so on and so forth. And out of nowhere, the economy just like slapped me across the face. And 80% of my clients stopped working out. Mm-hmm. They could not afford to continue personal training. And I didn't have a website. I didn't have any type of marketing strategy. So my business took a huge tank. And I just really lost a lot of my monthly income. I don't know what to do. I don't know what steps to take. And then that's when a good friend of mine said, hey, there's this guy named Dan Kennedy, and he's this business guru. You ought to check out some of this stuff, And I was all down and out, depressed, and I went online and I read up on Dan Kennedy, and wow, he opened up a whole new world to me, the entire world of direct response marketing. And once I found out about the same extreme mentality that got me to lose 60 pounds of weight in a year, allowed me to immerse myself in the world of direct response marketing.
I love that. Yeah, direct response marketing is a beautiful thing. And anyone listening to this call, if you're not aware of what direct response marketing is, you need to go get an education in that fast. How would you explain direct response marketing?
Well, there's two types of marketing. There's direct response marketing and brand marketing. Now, brand marketing is like Calvin Klein. Let's say, for example, they put a billboard in Times Square to sell their jeans. They're just selling their brand. It's a billion-dollar company, but there's no actual achievable, testable results to see if that ad with a skinny woman in jeans is actually bringing in customers. Direct response marketing, you can actually track it, test it, tweak it, and find out if it's actually getting you the results. So a good example of direct response marketing is an infomercial. So let's say if an infomercial plays at night for an hour, you could tell at the end of it, there's an action that people have to take, a call to action. So you can measure. So let's say, for example, if it costs, $70,000 to air the infomercial, and by the end of it, you get, let's say, $200,000 worth of sales, then that plays for an hour, it makes a $130,000 profit. So you can measure every aspect of it. Then over time, improve it, change the time of the day, change the infomercial, change the offer, everything from the person who called the phone number to order the product to the whole product coming to the person. Every aspect of that is measured and tweaked.
Yeah, I love that because that's almost the big defining difference. You can track direct response, whereas branding, that's almost the definition of branding. I mean, I equate branding to being like you want to talk to a girl at a party, and so you just show up wherever she is, but that's all you do. You just sit in the corner, and that's it. And like if she ever looks, you just kind of sit there and smile and like wave, and like that's it. Whereas direct response is all about asking yes or no questions, and then you can count how many yeses you got versus how many no's. And yeah, I love the analogy. Infomercials are great. That's a wonderful place to study it because that's like the hardest. They say that's like even Dan Kennedy talks about that. He's a great mentor. If anyone here on the call is not familiar with this stuff, a lot of it is phenomenal. But like that's one of the hardest selling arenas right there is the TV because anytime you're not interested, you just click away. So when a lot of people are concerned about being like pressure, like high pressure sales and all that, I think an infomercial is a great place to study because that's the medium that they're in, where if you don't like it or if you're not interested or if it's not giving you value, you just click a button and then you go away, right? But meanwhile, infomercials can produce tens of millions of dollars. In fact, I got to meet Greg Renker at an event in Connecticut, and he was, we were talking about, he's done 225 infomercials, they said, 200 were failures, 10
Wow.
do less than 10 million, 10 do 10 million or less, The other 10 do between 100 million or less, and of the 5, there are 3 that do 100 to 500 million, and he has 2 that do 500 to 750 million. You know, and
Wow.
that's after like 12 or 15 years of the infomercial business. Oh yeah. Anyway, so it's a great format to study because it's marketing at it's salesmanship and marketing at its best. So, but that's when you see one that's, you know, here today and then gone tomorrow, you know, it's because because the vast majority of them don't even break even.
Yeah,
Anyways.
no, that's a very good point, Daryl. It's like if you see an infomercial, or you see an ad, even a television ad, you know, that's recurring over and over and over again, you know that it's a winner, so it's very good to study that one.
Right, right, yeah. That's a good thing for here in this call too. You know, it's an interesting point to bring this up because I think there's a massive gap in our society between like reality and just like award giving, like giving people gold stars and patting them on the back. I mean, there's tons of award ceremonies and things like that you can win. I was talking to a guy last night. He was visiting a friend. I'm in my hometown, and buddy I grew up with, haven't seen him forever, went by, and another guy I've known forever is there, and he was like, "Oh, Daryl," and he was telling me about this business he wanted to start, and his first thing was he wants to get a loan for $10,000 to buy a camera and some equipment. And that was like his whole strategy was like to get this camera and the equipment. And I was like, well, how is that like how's that going to turn into money? Like that was my question. How is that going to turn into money? He's like, well, I'm going to work with this guy. He set the Guinness World Record for longest scene shot or something like in one take or something like that. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. But how is that going to turn into money? Like
Mm.
I had to bring that back again. And so it's even when you talk about marketing and that, if you go and, you know, you just have to check your references because there might be some award gala where, you know, all these people are being recognized for having the best advertising, but like, is it judged on sales or is it judged on
Yeah.
like, you know, like what is it based by? So you really have to be careful about who you get advice from and never take advice from someone you don't want to trade places in. Anyways, so yeah, that's my rant. So what would you recommend to someone who's just trying to figure out direct response marketing and they're struggling and they don't really get it or they, you know, they're like, all right, I got to be able to track it. What would you suggest?
Well, you know, back to Dan Kennedy, he has a great set of books. They're called the No BS books. And that was really a game changer for me. So he covers the different elements of direct response marketing. And you can just go on Amazon, Dan Kennedy, No BS. And they're really straightforward, simple, easy to read books. And the master persuader that Dan Kennedy is, each of his books is a direct response vehicle. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
notice within the pages of the book, he's selling numerous programs and services that he has. So
That's
it's
right.
very good to study that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's a great suggestion. That's awesome. Appreciate that. So what was kind of some of the best advice you ever got, AJ, in helping yourself with growing your business and that?
I guess the best advice I ever got was just understanding how important a person's mindset is to their business success. You know, the business owner
Mm,
psychology is what holds them back from getting to the next level with their business because, you know, I guess I kind of learned this early on with fitness where you can have the best nutrition plan, the best exercise program. However, if you don't have the discipline and the focus to follow it, it's not going to do you any good. So right now, you have listeners that can just go on Google, YouTube, understand different marketing concepts, you know, learn it in a book, just get enlightened by it. But if they don't have the mindset to take the action, have the confidence, believe in themselves, it's not going to do any good.
I think you're right. That's definitely true. Mindset's an important factor. Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
Oh, yes.
That's a great book. I love that book. Those 13 principles. I mean, there's a lot about mindset in there. I mean, perseverance, faith, autosuggestion. I mean, autosuggestion
Mm.
is that self-talk. It's that internal dialogue that you have. That's one of the key tenets of Think and Grow Rich is that autosuggestion. That's kind of where affirmation comes from. And affirmation was a Jim Rohn. I love Jim Rohn. He's got some quote. I'm gonna butcher it, but it's like affirmation without action is delusion or something like that. It's like,
Yeah,
are
that
you
was
gonna?
it.
Yeah. Was it okay? Because that's exact autosuggestion, but that's a real thing. I mean, who you are when you walk into a room. I remember when I had my martial arts school, one of my instructors. I remember when he was first starting and he was teaching his first couple of classes, he would tell everyone how much he was sucking. Like he would just say that. He'd be teaching. He's like, yeah, but I'm not showing this to you very well. Like he would say all this stuff, and I'm like, but Jason, you did it great, man. Like you're awesome. And it was so awesome to watch his transformation because in the beginning he was really shy, and you could just tell what his internal dialogue was because he would share it with the world if that made sense. But once we got him past that, and he could see that he had almost like proof of learning, and proof of success and achievement. Suddenly that turned around, and now he's extremely confident. He's much more comfortable speaking with people, and it was just an awesome transformation. So that's a really powerful thing. What do you think are a lot of common self-limiting beliefs or thoughts that people may not even be aware that they have?
I would say the limiting belief that it is what is outside of you that is limiting your success. So many times if a business is failing or you're not getting clients, you could say, oh, well, it's the economy. People aren't spending any money. Or, hey, they just can't afford my program. Hey, it's the internet. The internet, it doesn't work. Facebook ads don't work. So it's like blaming the external circumstance as opposed to taking responsibility and realizing that you are the limiting factor. What are you doing? What do you need to do to show more value in your program? How can you test and tweak and make a better offer so the ads actually work? Really understanding that you are the underlying reason why you're broke, unhappy, and miserable.
I love that. Yeah, because it's so easy for people to make up a list of all the things that are causing them from being successful or achieving what they want, but the only thing that's not on that list is them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. No, I think that's true. And I think that's part of why the power of association is so important, why someone listening into this, why it's important for them to keep listening to these kinds of podcasts and that, because you need to inherit, you need to absorb, and you need to reaffirm the mindset and the beliefs that you have. I mean, people, if you hang around with the wrong crowd, it's infectious. Just like how you can catch a cold from someone, you can catch bad attitudes, beliefs, and opinions. I mean, it happens all the time, every day. I've heard it. I mean, just even like last night. I mean, this guy he was dead certain that buying this camera was going to lead to him. I remember him telling me that he thinks that if he does this right, it was like a $1.2 billion opportunity.
Wow.
I'm like, that's great, but he has but his plan to get there is to get the camera. And I mean, the camera might be a part of it, but there was nothing after that. But it's, and that's, I mean, God bless him, and I wish him all the best, and I'm sure he will hopefully get there. But it's just funny because I could see myself earlier in my career when I'm like, I wish I had a podcast I could tune into, or people that could help me just get there faster. That way, you don't have to learn the hard way, right? So.
Yeah, no, and Dal, that's what I love about your podcast because you give so much value. You're really helping a lot of people. You're sharing from the heart, and I guess one of the things that sticks out a lot is just the powerful quotes you have on here. You reference Jim Rohn so much, and Jim Rohn came up once again with his famous quote: "You are the sum total of the 5 closest people in your life, and that's your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationships." And when you realize who are the 5 closest people in my life, and you really start adding up the numbers, it's scary how close you are to being all of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's even to say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I mean, it's really, the easiest way to describe it is if you hung out with 9 crackheads, even if you never smoked crack, you would have crackhead problems. Like you would, because
That's
you're
hilarious.
hanging out with 9 crackheads, and the people, like whatever they do, those will become your problems because you're hanging out with them. It's like if you go to a mall with someone and they shoplift and you're with them, guess what? If they get busted, you're going down too because of association. And so it's the same thing. If you ask any parent, would they let their kid hang out with 9 crackheads all day, every day, even if they thought that they were teaching them, training them? No, it's one. You said that before. We talked before about a breakthrough you had where there's like knowing and then like knowing, right? And that you can know something but not really know it. And that's one of those hidden common sense things that's not so common. If parents know, I wouldn't let my kid hang out with 9 crackheads because they'd be a bad influence because they'll just get into problems hanging around them. But meanwhile, people are hanging out with, whoever. They're hanging out with their friends that have no ambition, no goal in their lives, no direction, and they might be good people, and again, wish them all the best, but for you in your life, you need to be surrounded by people who are going where you want to go so you can get there. I mean, I'm becoming I'm a huge CrossFit fanatic just because it's just been a really great workout for me. But one of the things that I notice is a really key element is the competitive aspect in the room, right? You try and keep up with everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone marks their scores at the you measure every class. How many reps did you? How did you do? And so because of that competition and you're with that group of people, you push yourself way harder than if you were just working alone in your home, which is part of why often that doesn't work for people. But yeah, thank you for complimenting the podcast. So
No, I get tremendous value out of it.
So, well, let's talk some more about what are some other things that held you back, I guess. Like things that were there any kind of key milestones or things that you figured out that really spurred on the growth and success of your business and your coaching for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, when I was first starting out, it was just based on having a business on results and referrals, and it was just really not that systematic and not that consistent. And then I spent more time understanding direct response marketing, and I came to find there are three key elements to grow a business. And those are one, the leads, the traffic, clients coming in, then it's the sales and the conversions, and then it's the fulfillment. Do you have a way of serving your clients that leverages you? And I found that if I just focus on those three systems, I can have a very consistent business, but at the same time, grow it in a very scalable manner. So then going back, like, do I have leads that are coming in daily on a consistent basis? Do I have a sales and conversion system who's making those prospects into clients? And then once they are they happy with their results? Are they retaining? Are they staying on long term? Do I have a delivery mechanism that is profitable, but at the same time keeps the lifetime value of the client at a very high rate consistently? So just looking in at your own business and putting it through those three different elements.
I love that. Those are awesome. Can you repeat those three elements again for people in case they didn't have their pens out, which they should know better by now?
Sure. So it's number one, it's leads. Number two is sales and conversions. And number three, it's fulfillment.
Got it. So leads, that's you have to have a strategy and a plan for meeting your customer, meeting new customers, however that is. You need to constantly meet new people you could potentially do business with. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the
absolutely.
sales and conversion is your strategy for turning those relationships into new business. That's like a planned out, almost like an assembly line process that you feel is tried, tested, and true, and that you try to put into some sort of system. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then obviously the fulfillment part is just making sure that everybody gets what they've purchased and that you've got some sort of quality control. That's the third part, right?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. So if you had those three dialed in, how could you not have an awesome business? The only thing that would be preventing you from having a 7-figure business is if you picked a limited market, if you were delivering something that wasn't scalable. So anyone listening to this call, they should maybe take a couple of minutes, either now or after the call, to try to write out and just maybe in a list or a mind map or whatever works for you, but to write out what is your lead generation system. Where do you find your clients? How do you do it on demand if you needed to? How do you you need to be able to go, hey, I want 10 more clients and know where you can go and get them. And then a second thing is, again, how now that you've got them, how are you going to turn those relationships into new business? And how long does that go for? And what do you do if they don't buy, right? And then the third is, again, delivering on that. Because I love that. Because that, I don't know if I've said this on any other call, but I think this is a really valuable piece of information, and that what a lot of people don't realize is when you buy into a franchise, you're only buying the fulfillment systems for the most part. Like when you buy a McDonald's franchise, you pay a couple of $1 million to set up a location and train staff on how to cook food and hand it over the counter. Because McDonald's really, as a franchise, is a headquarters that handles the lead generation and lead conversion. They put up, right? You just get sent this thing to put up on the board that's got the food and all the prices on it. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about what people want. And so that's what a lot of franchises are. It's the lead gen and the sales and conversion systems in a central hub, and then the franchise are just these fulfillment centers across the nation. And that's so what you said there is really profound, and I just wanted to dive a bit deeper into it because I don't want the lesson to be lost on any of our listeners.
It's fundamental things. And, like you have to just look at your business and really if your business is failing or it's not where you want it to be, there's a severe hole in one of those areas. And I found that most businesses, they would say leads, getting new clients, getting new customers. And actually, I originally read your book, which is the Ancient Secrets of Lead Generation. And that was tremendous because I thought I knew like a good amount of ways to get leads, but you enhanced my mind with the amount of possibilities of just getting lead generations in.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And thank you for playing my book.
Yeah, it just came to mind because I'm always looking because, like I said, I want to help other people and help myself. How can I generate more leads? That's really the number one issue of most small businesses. And when you look at different ways, I mean, your book covers a wide variety of different mechanisms to bring in leads online, offline. So, it's pretty robust.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, that's something I learned from one of my mentors, Ken McCarthy. He had an equation, T plus C equals money, which was traffic plus conversion equals money. And my real revelation on it was I made it T times C equals money, or T times C equals T, which you then times by C, and it just goes on ad infinitum till you make the sale. And that means, and to try to explain that a bit better, if you're like, say you have an ad in the yellow pages, so then the traffic or the eyeballs that see that, conversion is the percent of those eyeballs that will see that ad that will pick up the phone and call you. So now you've got blank number of phone calls, and then however many you convert to appointments is the next part of the equation, and you literally build your funnel and get your numbers in, and you can have exponential growth in your business just by improving those places where you can lose people, which is almost goes back to what you said. Again, trying to expand on what you already said because you're giving away gold here, but often things can be so simple, people just don't realize it. And that's when you're saying that most people think traffic is their problem. I need more leads, when really, they're not selling the leads that they already have. And so that's the actual problem. They don't need more. Almost everyone you talk to thinks they have a traffic problem when really most people have a conversion problem. And that is where you can have the most leverage. I mean, if you're selling 1 out of every 10 prospects and you manage to figure out how to sell 2 out of every 10, you just doubled your bottom line. You don't have to change your ad budget. You don't have to change anything. You literally just doubled that. And then if you had 3, now there's huge growth there. And so they do work in tandem, but that's the ultimate goal, is just to be able to write a check to get traffic, whether it's, sure, put this ad in the newspaper, sure, put this ad there, because you have, going back to direct response, another awesome tool you've given our listeners today. When you have an ad and that ad generates, X amount of leads for every X amount of people who see it, I mean, it's just arithmetic at that point, right? And of course there'll be variance in audiences, but for the most part, if you've got, your ideal audience and you put your ad in front of them, you can almost project to the penny how much money you're going to generate. So I think now you just brought up such a powerful point because you're talking about numbers and seeing literally, I think the biggest issue most businesses have is they're way too emotionally involved into their stories, the stories of why their business is failing, why they're not getting new customers, why they can't break through their income. It's really just like looking at it from a very analytical way. And that's why, you hire a business coach, you join a mastermind to look at things from a bird's eye view. Okay, how many leads are you getting in every month? How many conversions are you making? What's the price point? How many clients are dropping off every month? When you're crystal clear about those numbers in a specific manner, the cost per lead, the lifetime value of your customer, and, it's just simple numbers. So if I'm only getting 10 leads per month, how am I going to grow my business 10 times? I need to generate more leads, but those leads that are coming, like you said, are they converting? Should I increase my price point? Should I lower my price point? Should I change my product or service? And it's like looking at things from just that logical, systematic way, as opposed to saying the economy sucks or the internet sucks or, nobody's buying, people are cheap. Yep. No, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's exactly that. And the reason why more people don't realize that is because often their business. There's a great interview we did, the 6 Laws of Small Business Success with Brad Martineau. And I love, one of the things that I love, I'm going to look this up very quickly. Hold on. But he reads, he's like, if you look up the definition of entrepreneur, here we go. The definition of entrepreneur, the word from the dictionary, is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. So he mentions that quote in the interview. He goes, what it doesn't say is a person who answers the telephone and mops the floor and does the accounting and fulfills on the services, like, right? And that's the reason why a lot of people aren't able to talk about it like we are at this level, because they are the person that's doing it. They're not organizing and operating a business. They're doing a job, which is why it's called self-employed. They have their own job versus actually running a business. So great, AJ, great points, man. I feel like you probably talk to people all the time and they just like, and then just like lose the lesson because of how simple it can be. But you're giving away some great content, man. So yeah, you're really contributing.
No, thank you. You know, when you simplify, you multiply. And sometimes that, you know, like I said, we want things to be complex. We want things to be confusing. It's analysis paralysis is where most people are in. They want to look at the things that don't count. If you just go down to the core key things, you know, leads, sales, and fulfillment, and you find out which one of those things has a hole in it, then you can actually have a solution and fix the problem, as opposed to creating all these elaborate stories and confusing yourself on different ways. Let me go study an information product. Maybe I'll get the answer. No, let me look at my lead generation system and just focus on that. Let me just focus on getting better conversions. How can I hire someone to help me do that? So it's like, you know, just looking at that little issue, fixing it, and then your business will multiply. Just like you said, just by, you know, a 10% tweak, you could double your bottom line at the end of the month.
Yep. That is, yeah, well said. So what are some habits that you feel have helped you on your path to success? What are some of the things that you've seen in your successful clients, or you just have noticed have really made a difference for you in your life and your business?
That's a great question. You know, goes back to many years ago. I read this book by Darren Hardy, The Compound Effect.
I'm looking at it right now. I knew you were going to say that one. I'm looking at it. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, you know, the compound effect really states that your success is determined by your daily actions. And I guess I kind of fell upon this when I was getting deep into the world of fitness, and I was seeing in myself, like, how was I this fat, frustrated chump all my life, and all of a sudden now I have a six-pack and I'm confident, full of energy. It's like I look at my daily habits when I was fat and frustrated to being fit and happy, and it's completely different. You know, I was doing things, and I currently am doing things because I have fat boy genetics. I'm not going to let myself go back. So I have to do daily cardio, meal preparation, you know, drink a gallon of water, 8 hours of sleep, consistently going to the gym, keeping my mind fresh. And I saw my best performing clients had daily habits of success to get the weight off and keep it off long term. So when you look at the daily habits, you apply those in all the areas of your life, whether it's your personal happiness, your relationships, and most importantly, we're talking about business. So what are the daily habits that lead to a successful business? Whether it's making sure that your leads are coming in, whether you're using, let's say, paid traffic, that you are having a nice flow of leads at a low price, or if you're doing, you know, public speaking, are you committing yourself to going out every single day, getting in front of people? You know, are you making daily sales calls? Are you tracking your webinars and making sure they're performing better? You know, so it's like all these things you do on a daily basis are going to exponentially lead to your business success.
I love that. So well said. You know, and I really feel, I've said this for a long time, and this is, you know, I didn't grow up with a lot of entrepreneurs or a lot of very ambitious people, so in some ways that was my fuel. But I remember distinctly, I forget what I was talking about, but I was talking on the phone with someone, and they're like, yeah, but it's Saturday. Why don't you just wait? It's the weekend. And I remember I was looking outside my parents' front window, and I saw a squirrel run across the lawn, and it just clicked, and I was like, yeah, but like, why? Like, I get it's the weekend, but so what? Like, I'm looking at a squirrel right now, and I don't think he gets to take the day off of going to find food. I don't think that animals ever get to be like, hey, you know what? Sorry, predator, you know, it's my day off. Come back tomorrow. Like, that's not it. Every single day. And when you talk to some of the world's most successful people, they talk about every single day they do whatever those habits are that they need to get where they want to go. There's no weekends, there's no holidays. Those are man-made things. Those don't really exist. Every day,
Yeah.
a freezer, the refrigerator, those we created for our convenience. But the reality is for every other creature on the planet, every day they wake up with an empty stomach, and they get to keep what they kill, essentially, or if they forage, whatever they can forage. So there's no days off, and I'm a huge proponent of that. I have no days off. Maybe you need a day to rest, but for the most part you need to go hard. And I love what you said, because daily habits, it's not your once a week habit. I say that all the time. I think it's so much easier to keep a daily habit versus something you only do one day a week. And that's something I just suggested to a friend of mine yesterday. He was 230 pounds. He wants to get down to 200. And I told him, go to the gym every day. He's like, yeah, but my body can't handle that much exercise. So I was like, yeah, but you still need to go to the gym. Like, you need to go every day. You're not going to get there if you go twice a week. You got to go every day and do what you can. And over time, you'll be able to do more. It's that simple. So that's an awesome, awesome, awesome suggestion. Can you tell, what was the title of the book again?
The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy.
Yeah, Darren's a great guy. He is, when I quote Jim Rohn, I owe that, in fact, actually to him in part. It was a birthday event, and we have a mutual friend, and we went for a hike, and I got to walk with him and talk with him for like an hour. And afterwards, he sent me a bunch of Jim Rohn stuff in the mail, and as a gift. And and that's really where I got to learn Jim Rohn so well. And whatever Jim's got, I'm just gonna I'm not an affiliate. I don't get a single penny, but that is money well invested. Anything Jim Rohn, I know you are too. So
he's a grandfather of personal development. I was just listening to an audio program with Tony Robbins, and Tony Robbins was Jim Rohn's, protege. He says he owed Jim Rohn all of his success. Yeah, he actually sold Jim Rohn's programs for about 5 years or so. He was Jim Rohn's top salesman, and everything that Tony Robbins says that he learned in terms of success and personal development, he learned from Jim Rohn.
That is huge. That is so, and it doesn't surprise me at all, because it's so. Yeah, anyone who just go listen to his stuff. I mean, honestly, if I could offer you any help, we talked about mindset and that. Jim Rohn is just such a worthwhile investment. I remember even one of the CDs. He's like, you don't need wushu and seagulls and ocean waves. That doesn't work. You just need simple facts, the truth, and just hard work in the right direction. So yeah, that is awesome. So all right.
I'm sorry, because like Jim Rohn, you just got me all inspired and everything. Because one thing about him, he has timeless wisdom. 500 years from now, the stuff that Jim Rohn says will apply in business, even though business will change, technology, software. He's just so fundamental in terms of every aspect of business, success, happiness. And I'm curious, Al, what is your favorite Jim Rohn quote?
The one I say the most, well, it's tough to say, man. I can go over a couple. I mean, I like him saying that, he can already, I forget where it was, but he's like, I can predict the next 10 years of your life with almost 100% accuracy right now. Opportunity mixed with difficulty. That's how the next 10 years of your life will be. And sometimes there'll be more opportunity and sometimes there'll be more difficulty, but both will always be present if you are looking for them. And so I love that. I love his quote about you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I also love his quote about motivation. And, not everyone needs motivation. If you have an idiot and you motivate him, now you have a motivated idiot. What he needs is an education to turn around and put him in the right direction. And so that's I love that first, because it's not just about rah feel good. And that comes I've noticed that as a productivity thing. I recognize I was doing a lot of time management stuff, trying to track what I did in a day, and I noticed that I would feel about my day completely different than how I actually performed. I would feel like I had a great day, and I'd look at what I'd done, like, oh, I did 2 things. That's it. And other days I'd feel like it was a terrible day, and I looked, and I was like, wow, I got so much accomplished, and I realized that my mood and my actions are totally separate. They're not. It's just not, they're not in sync. Not always, anyway, so.
Yeah.
How about you? You have a favorite Jim Rohn quote?
Yeah, I have 2 of them that just really stick out. I have them up in my office. If you work hard on your job, you make a living. If you work hard on yourself, you make a fortune.
I love that. Yep.
And don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better.
Yeah, that is such... That makes me think of this morning. I thought I was going to go easy at the gym, and then I showed up, and the workout today was called Fight Gone Bad, and I was like, no. And then when I was doing it, I was like, why can't this be easier? And then I remembered that quote, and I literally did. I remember that quote, and I went, grabbed a sip of water, and I came back, and I crushed it. So that's awesome. Yeah,
Nice.
great quotes, AJ. Awesome. Man, I'm so glad we did this call. I know we talked about it a few times, but we finally made it happen. So. Um,
Yeah.
Is there anything else, like any other tips or tricks or anything that you would wish to impart on the listeners? If like, hey, wherever you are in your business, I don't know, like, what do you got? Anything?
Yeah, well, I think that one of the biggest mistakes I made was I asked for help very late in my business.
Mm,
Um, I basically am a huge nerd. I've always been ever since I was a young child. So I love to read. I love to learn. So even when I was learning a lot of the direct response stuff, I was consuming a lot of information products and buying a lot of books and studying. I was just overwhelmed with information overload. And I was stuck, because it was analysis paralysis. I knew a lot. I knew what to do, but I didn't know how to do it. And the big breakthrough that I had was investing in a business coach. At the time, it was a lot of money. I spent $4,000, but within that first month, I made that $4,000 back in profits, and I multiplied my investment. And ever since I hired a business coach, I had a mentor. I've invested a lot in my own personal education. Just like Jim Rohn says, if you invest in yourself, you make a fortune.
mm-hmm.
My last big investment, I paid $25,000 to be in a mastermind for 1 year, but that has paid off tenfold. And I've come to realize that, yes, we have the answers and we know what to do generally, but same thing why people get personal trainers. It's the accountability, it's the ability to look at your business from a logical point of view, not an emotional point of view, to guide you to hire a person who's been where you want to be. So they just give you the fast track. So I'm willing to pay $20,000 so I could go 5 years into the future, as opposed to doing things slowly and trying to learn it myself. So I'm a big believer in hiring coaches and mentors to help you grow your business.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, let's talk about that for a second because I think that's an important thing. First of all, if anyone that gets my emails, they should see a quote there from Eric. I want to say Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Google, where he's like, "Yeah, I have a coach. Everyone should have a coach. Like, everyone needs a coach because
Michael Jordan.
right. No one has won a gold medal at the Olympics, and no one has done anything to any great. In fact, none of us learned how to ride a bike or tie our shoes ourselves. Somebody had to show us first almost everything that we've done. And so coaching is huge. Mentorship is huge. You need a coach. Again, same thing. If no one's been able to go and win a gold medal after being isolated in a garage and, doing their thing themselves, what makes you think you're any more, any different, any more special than the rest of us? You're not. And I
Yeah.
think that that's important. And then there needs to be a clear distinction that just throwing money at a coach doesn't solve it. You have to be committed. It's almost like a personal training program. Just because you hire a personal trainer doesn't guarantee you're going to get the results if you cancel every other appointment. You have to make sure that when you do it, that you commit to it, because otherwise, like perseverance is a quintessential ingredient to success in anything. I mean, if you don't persevere, there's just nothing to it, right? I mean, it's essentially just giving
Yeah.
up. So, no, I think that that's right. I think that's huge. I think that's important because especially so many of us are so close to it. You need that
Wow.
outside perspective, especially if it's something like your business or something that you're emotional about or you're just,
Yeah.
you're tied to. So, yeah, yeah, that's a great tip. So,
Yeah.
AJ, what are you working on now? So you've hired coaches and you've dropped this money on the mastermind. You've got all this training and direction. It's helping you implement in your business and helping you get where you're going. And so, what are you working on then? What are you excited about? What's tickling your fancy these days?
Within the moment, I'm extremely excited about my second book. I'm really been working on it a lot as of late. And it's a lot of what we spoke about today, on your podcast, about having daily habits, about investing in yourself, about looking at life through a very logical and calculated way as opposed to being emotional and telling yourself stories. And, it's been just a product of my passion because I came from, like I said, a challenging upbringing. I was overweight. I grew up poor, and I just had a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of insecurities. I lacked a lot of confidence, and over time, I was able to turn those around and improved my life in a dramatic way. And it was all these mentors, all these coaches, these, great conversations that you and I have that make me realize, like, wow, we're not so limited to being in our own place. There's a way to become better. There's a world of possibilities. We're not stuck where we are. So I'm really excited about getting that book out and helping people with the lessons that I've learned in my journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So how do people reach out to you? How do they connect with you? How do they become involved or become a part? Or are you looking for that right now with your book? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Daryl. Because I'm always open to getting different people's perspectives. I love to hear what people think of, my writing, my content, and everything I do. I'm very open to it because, surveying and getting feedback is extremely important. So, yeah, I'm very active on Facebook. You can add me on there, Facebook.com/AJ Fit, AJFIT. And, I will send you parts of my book, and I would love to get your insights on it. But also, any of the stuff that we covered today, I would love to help you out with it. Your fitness needs and business tips here and there. I'm just very open because I'm a big believer in giving without asking for return. I love the act of abundance because you pay it forward. There are many people along my life that gave me a tip. They gave me, some advice, and that changed my life. It changed the way that I looked at myself. So I'm all about spreading that love back out to the world.
And I can really attest to that because that's even how we met. Like, you just looked me up and set up an appointment. In the call, I was like, so what were you talking to? Like, I was in my head, I was like, did you want to buy something? Did you want to try and sell me something? Did you want to talk about something? And you're like, hey, man, I just wanted to figure out who you were and just kind of connect. And I was like, okay. And then we talked, and at the end you sent me all these resources that were timely and I needed them at the time. So it was just I can attest that you really do that. And a lot of people talk the talk but they don't walk the walk, but you definitely do that. You definitely are into helping out others, and you've just proven to be just a good person, a good friend. And I'm just glad that we came on the call today. Even today you gave a ton of value, and anytime you said something and I didn't know if people would catch it, I made sure that we dove deep into it because there was a lot of value that you had to offer. And just thank you again for sharing that with us today.
Oh, my pleasure, Dal. Like I said, it's having an abundance mindset. There's more than enough to go around, and the more you embody that and you act from those principles on a daily basis, the more that comes back to you. I mean, like, look at you. It's the same thing, during our conversations, you share so much, you're so transparent, and you're so helpful. But even this podcast, you're not making a single penny off of this, and the amount of time, effort, and energy you put in to add this much value out to the world, it shows that you are a person of honor, and I commend you on that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think a lot of us, if we really dig down into our deepest hearts, secrets of secrets, we all just want to be valuable to the world and find a place where we belong and make the world better by being there. And I think that ultimately, I think that's kind of what everyone wants. We just want to be able to live our lives. I mean, I don't think anyone's necessarily made happy by having millions of dollars in the bank account they can't touch. They're made happy by the security of knowing that they have whatever they need if they need it. Right. And that's something that that's a whole another can of worms I'm not going to open, but I think that's kind of what we all want. And so this literally is my attempt for that. I mean, that's how the podcast even got started, is after I helped my first client make over $1 million. I was having coffee with a friend and talking about it. And he was like, Daryl, if I could talk to the people like you have access to, and I could get their insights and learn their wisdom, I'd be generating over $1 million in my business. And that's when I was like, well, why don't you? And so that's literally what this podcast has been. I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people with $1 million businesses, or they're millionaires, or they're world champions, or Olympic athletes, and I've just been able to learn from them. And so this is just an opportunity for people to just sit down and meet people in my network and get to share and sit in on these conversations. My only request to them is that they take action on it and that they take notes, because a good idea not implemented I forget the quote. But there's just a great quote that wisdom alone is without action is useless. It's impotent. You need to take action. And that's why every time at this podcast, I want people to make a list of what were your 3 ahas? What are you going to do this week based on them? And what can you assign to someone else? Because that goes back to that quote on entrepreneurship, that an entrepreneur is a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses. It's not the person who does everything. So think about that. So AJ.
Yeah, exactly.
How do they reach you again? Facebook.com?
Yeah, I'm the most active on there. It's easiest to remember. Yeah, Facebook, my personal page.
Right.
Facebook, Facebook.com/AJ Fit. AJ, F as in Frank, IT.
There we go. All right. So Facebook.com/AJ Fit. Definitely reach out if you have any questions. Talk to him. Make friends with him. He's a good guy to know and can definitely help grow your business. AJ, thank you so much for joining me on the call today. I really appreciate you, my friend.
Thank you, Daryl. It was an honor to be on your show.
You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, what 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember, taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact. You can visit our website, bestbusinesscoach.ca for Canada or California, where I'm from and where I'm living. You're welcome to also try out one of our paid programs. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much every other social media channel you can think of. You should also subscribe to the podcast, and if you're enjoying them, please leave us a nice review. It really helps. That's all for now. Once again, thank you. Take care of yourself, and remember, the world needs the best business you can build. And I believe in you.